What's up here? Wanting to talk about the secret life of bots in Call of Duty Warzone. So, a lot of comments on my last video, spectating Warzone Casual, talked about whether or not the first two players that I ran into and spectated were bots, or whether they were just new players to the game. And it took me a few minutes to figure it out watching them, and definitely watching it back, I picked up on the tells. They were bots, 100%. And I figured it was worth making a quick video here to kind of go through some of the behaviors that you'll see when you're spectating a bot, because when we all understand when we kill a bot, right? We see the bots fighting. They always kind of fight the same way. It's pretty obvious to tell if you're fighting AI versus you're just fighting a human. Now, the first clip was a human. I was spectating a human. In this case, I'm fighting a bot, right? It's doing the typical bot things. It lays down, it doesn't move, it's very stiff, its accuracy is pretty bad. In this case, I'm deliberately making sure that this is a bot, the way that it moves, it stands still. Bots have really strange behaviors and some fascinating things that Call of Duty is doing with these things in the game. So we're most commonly going to run into them when we fight them. They're not going to kill us very often. And if they do, the odds, most people don't stick around to watch the kill cam. They just throw the controller in frustration for dying to a bot. But we're again very familiar with these this combat that they do, where they start out, they almost always throw their lethal if they have one. They will approach, find you, and then they'll drop shot or crouch shot and start shooting you. If they can't physically see you, they'll go into like a pursuit mode. So on this, I think it's this clip, you can see that I intentionally hide from the bot and I make it pursue me, and so it goes looking for me, right? It kind of goes, all right, where are you? And it's trying to find me. So it's a really interesting mode that they go into, the thought process behind it. When they're not fighting you, they have a couple of different modes, right? So they have like a looting mode. So here's a clip of this bot is in a looting mode, right? And so it's going to go and it's going to look for stuff, and then it's going to actually freeze up here for a second. And when that happens, it's actually being teleported somewhere else. And so they do this in this game where they will the bots will be there and they'll just like bloop out of existence. And what I think is happening is they're actually being teleported across the map to wherever a dead spot is. Wherever players are that aren't engaged with someone, they're actually teleporting bots into where you are. So if you've ever been in an area playing Warzone Casual where you've put up a UAV, you've cleared out the enemies, there's nobody there, it's just you and some looting and the buy station, all of a sudden you're being shot in the back from somebody 20 meters away that you didn't hear show up, that they weren't on UAV like 10 seconds ago, and they're just there shooting you. The odds are they're a bot, and odds are that they just teleported into existence. They just blooped into existence right next to you, because the game wants to kind of keep you moving, right? It wants to keep the game and keep players engaged, keep them, give them something to shoot. But the other thing that it does is it doesn't require the game to use its resources to manage 120 individual AIs around the game. It can actually just focus on 30 or so, however many it needs at any one time. And then it can just spread them around as needed. So, if there's combat or there's an area where bots are needed in one area, it can just take them from a dead spot if the bot happens to land. Now, they do land. They do land about 20 or 30 of them at the start of the match. So they're on the plane. You can land next to them. You can follow them down, and you can engage with them right away. But they also work as teams. They'll come in as a squad, right? And this wasn't true in boot camp last year. Bots were always alone. They were a squad of one. You killed one, they died instantly. They were a bot. In this case, they work as a squad, and you can see in this clip, they can revive each other. They will oftentimes teleport in to help each other. And this squad that we're watching has kind of, if you've been paying attention to the squad module, you'll see that they've actually the squad has grown and shrunk, right? Bots have been killed. They don't sit there as a dead bot, right? They actually just respawn somewhere else. And in this case, and I haven't caught this very often, but they've actually respawned multiple times on this squad, right? So they keep coming back to where these guys are, and engaging from there. The pink one in particular was one that killed me. And it was interesting because when it respawned, it didn't have the kill marker on it. When we first saw this squad, it had a kill. If you want to rewind the video to the start of this, where we started seeing this squad, and you can see it disappeared again. When it spawns in, it actually has the kill. It killed me in the gulag. And then after it died and respawned again, that kill went away. So they're not permanent entities, right? They're not here for good. They're just here, to provide a challenge for some people and fodder for most. But in reality, they work to keep the game flowing and to keep the keep the action moving forward. But the behaviors that they have and some of the things that we can observe, bots tend to move in straight lines, right? And we'll see this a little bit here. If you have a player and there's an obstruction in front of you, most players will run towards the obstruction and then they'll strafe sideways and go around it, right? Or they'll take a parabolic thing. They'll kind of go around and then they'll go around the object and then, kind of straighten back out and get back on your original line. Bots don't do that. They go until they have to stop, and then they do a rotate, almost like like it's on treads, where it just rotates, goes around it, and then rotates back, and will continue on whatever line it needs to be on to reach its objective. It's a very unusual movement, and you can sort of see it in some of these clips. And they also have, they do work together when they're in a squad, so they'll revive each other. I mentioned that. But they also are indecisive. So you'll see them pick things up, pick up weapons, pick up equipment, and then they'll go back and like change their mind, which is also fascinating. Now, I mentioned they throw lethals. We're all familiar with that. They aren't just wildly throwing it. They will throw them at you. They will stick you if they can, which is fascinating. They also go shopping. Bots will, in this case, this guy's being indecisive, right, about what he wants to do, but he will buy one armor plate. They always buy one armor plate. They'll also buy streaks and some other and other things if needed. But they always buy an armor plate. There it is, armor plate. One at a time. Sometimes they'll buy more than one. Most I've seen is 3. But for whatever reason, that's what they like to shop for. But you can see they get into these combats, right? Like, their combat is very very typical. You understand you're looking at a bot when you see the combat. But when you see them running, right? Straight line. And then it just pivots to make the straight line, right? Stays on its line as needed. It doesn't have that organic feel. Doesn't look around, right? In this case, it's in a pursuit mode. So it knows someone's there because it's a bot. It has walls, right? It knows if someone's there when it decides it's going to go get into a fight. And so it's a very, very, robotic way of moving, right? But it works, right? It makes sense when you watch them. It creates that shadow of a doubt. Is this a new person or not? But again, here we go with the buy station. And they have trouble understanding, like orienting themselves for it. But one armor plate. Got to make sure you get those. And I don't know why. I wonder if it's just so that when you kill them, they drop you an armor plate. Is the only thing I can think of, because a lot of times they don't need to buy armor plates. But here it is again. One armor plate. And I think this one buys a second one. Yep, there it is. Second armor plate. And my personal favorite, jump over the buy station to buy one armor plate. It is absolutely one of those things where there's an obvious way to tell if it's an AI or if it's player by watching it, right? A lot of people have been mentioning, oh, well, when I kill an AI, it's a level 1. It's always a level 1. That's a visual bug. That's a problem with the game, and we've seen it come up a couple of times since MW3. I think it first started when people rolled over to 1,000 to level 1,000. You would see level 1 or level 100. And in Black Ops 6, we've also had that issue crop up multiple times where, it displays to you, somebody's rank displays to you as a level 1 when they're not. And so this is an ongoing bug that we're facing with the game. Um, and the reality, as you can see from all of that spectating that we did, the obvious AIs are in fact AI, right? But they have their levels. They have, a random level that's not prestiged. They have a calling card. They have an icon. They have their own skin, right? Different skins. So Activision's doing a good job of kind of hiding, like disguising these AI, dressing them up. But their behaviors, they all have these tells. They all have very specific tells. It's pretty, when you know what to look for, it's really obvious what you're looking at. But they do disguise these bots as new players, right? They look like it could be your little cousin Timmy, who's brand new in video games and is just learning how to play, right? It looks like that could be who you're seeing, but it's not. These guys, we're definitely seeing a lot more bots, and this is hopefully kind of gives you an example of what these guys look like, how to tell if you're looking at a bot and you're not, and if you happen to die to one, well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's what I got for you today. If you still disagree with me that these bots are all level 1, tell me why in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one.